Do you think dating is the only way to find your person?
No, I got some stories.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the Dateable Podcast.
Before we get into this episode, a quick word from our sponsors that make it possible. Did you know that an estimated 5 billion plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles are thrown away each year? That is such a lose-lose situation for you and the planet. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet with the same powerful clean you're used to. They offer refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that looks great on your counters. You'll never have to grab bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run again. I seriously love all the products, from the cleaning sprays to hand soap, toilet bowl cleaner, and laundry tablets. The other day, my cleaner Lou, shout out as I know he listens, even commented on how good these products work. So professional house cleaner approved too. Blueland has a special offer for listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/dateable. You don't want to miss this. blueland.com/dateable for 15% off. That's blueland.com/dateable to get 15% off.
Is anyone else struggling with what to wear these days? I feel like styles change faster than dating trends, and I certainly don't want to be buying new clothes all the time just to keep up. So enter Armoire. Armoire allows you to rent high-quality designer clothing for every occasion. And when I signed up, I took a style quiz, and based on my preferences, they offer suggestions that would best match my lifestyle. The more I rent, the more on point the suggestions get. I recently rented this gorgeous Tanya Taylor silk dress for date night and got so many compliments. I wouldn't normally have chosen this style, but with Armoire, you can take chances because if you don't like it, you just swap it out. Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That is armoire.style, spelled ARMOIRE.style/DATEABLE to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today. And if you forget the link, just head to our Instagram and find it under special offers. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to Dateable.
It's not just any Dateable episode. This is the season finale for season 18.
We're going to be all grown up next season. We're already grown up, but we're going to be ultra grown up. 19.
Do you have any new privileges as a 19-year-old? It's like 18, yeah, you can vote. And then 19, what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You're just not 18 anymore. You've passed that hump. That's it.
You're just trying to get to 21.
Yes.
All right, we are on our way to 21.
21's going to be a blowout. If we thought 500 episodes was a blowout, wait till we're on season 21.
Yeah, we're going to get so shit-faced.
Get crunk.
Yeah.
Is that still a word?
I don't know. I don't know, Julie. We got to ask our Gen Zer audience.
Oh my God.
I don't know what's cool anymore.
Please don't make fun of us. Yeah.
I just know everything that comes out of my mouth is probably not cool, so I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to be like, yeah, what I said was not cool. Well, you all can translate it for yourselves.
So, little tangent, but what's your take on fire? I feel like now I only hear old people say it, and it sounds so weird.
Did that pass so fast?
It does. Now you just have like the remainder of people using it that probably should never be using it.
Yeah. Whenever you have people in my age range using it, it's probably no longer cool. You know, it's like if it's like Gen X using fire, you're like, okay, all right,
Wait,
we're done.
You're not Gen X, you're millennial.
I know. I'm on the cusp. I have to keep reminding myself.
I'm staying in millennial.
Oh, you're definitely millennial. You're well into millennial.
I'm like 2 years younger than you. I feel like every time it makes it sound like you're like a decade older than me.
I do feel like I am a generation away, okay? But yes, I think people still say fire because Ali Wong said it in her stand-up comedy, in her stand-up special, which doesn't help the cause because she's 42. But she was making fun of a Gen Zer that she was dating. Because they went to a museum and she's like, what do you think of the artwork? And he said, the art's fire. So, okay. All right. So it's her talking about a Gen Zer using fire. So I think it's still okay.
This is actually in such relation to what we're talking about because
Is
I'm going to
it?
tie it back. I'm going to tie it back. Like, you and I've been thinking about, we're like, dating. Everyone's like, dating is the worst. Dating is so difficult. Dating is so hard, so
Mhm.
painful, blah, blah, blah. All of it. And we're like, is it the only way? Like, is there another way to
Mhm.
find your person? And why I'm going to relate it back is because I think Gen Z is really having a moment against dating apps. Like, we keep hearing that
Mhm.
they're like, I just want to do anything but dating apps, like going back to matchmaking and
Yep.
speed dating. Like, it's actually kind of humorous that that's where we're going back, because I feel like we were the generation where like Gen X did that stuff and we're like, oh, that's so lame.
Ew,
Dating apps
gross.
are
Yeah.
cool. It's all cyclical. It's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really curious, like, is there another way? Does it have to be this tried and true dating method?
There's gotta be other ways, right? There's many ways that people can meet. And once you listen to this episode, you'll walk away with maybe some other ideas. You'll be inspired with some other ways that are outside of dating, or you might be inspired with new ways of how you approach traditional dating.
Yes, we want to think outside the box of all the ways that are possible and not feel like we have to confine to being those date selves or doing dating the way that we've been told we're supposed to date.
And I guess we can start this by defining what we mean by traditional dating.
Yeah.
And then we can go into what are other ways outside of traditional dating. In my mind, traditional dating is you meet for the purpose of dating and you go on a series of official dates. You call them dates. And then at some point, the dates turn into a relationship or you just decide you don't want to do that anymore. But it is very much intentional that these are dates.
I agree. And then there's this, it's almost like this tracking of date number 1, this happens. Date number
Yes.
2, by the 5th date, we'll DTR. It's very
Methodical in a way.
methodical, yes. And it's very anti how we do relationships with anyone else in life. We've talked about this before on episodes. It's just so counter to how you have friendships.
Mhm.
And like, you're not sitting there being like, this is our 4th hang. And are we going to like define the relationship and be BFFs? Like, that doesn't happen. But in dating, that's what it is. We're saying for this definition, it doesn't need to be app dating.
Right.
It could be I meet in real life, but we still go on dates.
Right.
App is just a vehicle.
But for the record, Julie and I did do like 3 hangs before we decided we could hang one-on-one.
We did.
We did group hangs.
It wasn't
I think we did
conscious, though. I think that's like the organic again, though, right? It just
Right.
kind of happened.
but I kept track. Okay.
Oh my
I
God.
was like,
It's like,
by the 3rd hang, we got to do something one-on-one.
are we going to be BFFs or not?
Yeah. Are we going to do this podcast or not? That's
I'm
the
glad that
commitment.
you were the one rolling along our friendship. I didn't even realize.
Yes, I was puppeteering it all. This is my concoction. I designed this. But yeah, we don't think about this in any other way other than, I guess you could say, like job interviews is another way
Yes.
to look at progression. I've had 3 interviews at this company. I'm going to get an offer soon. That might be the only other scenario.
And that's why people relate dating like a job, or dating
Yeah.
first dates are not really like getting to know you, but a job interview. But that's also why dating is so miserable, because who wants to go on a job interview in your spare time?
I know. You're just trying to rest.
It also like takes the magic out, right? Like if you're like sitting there, that's where like the dreaded date interview comes in, where you have like a list of questions you're trying to knock off. Like, you're missing the magic of just like being in the moment and meeting someone that you're really interested in and seeing where things go when it's so calculated. So I think that's probably like the case against not doing the standard dating. But I think the part that I would say maybe is the reason why I think people do go to more traditional dating is because if it's so like loosey goosey and no one has any intention, you never know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember like back in the day, like I would just like, go out to bars and meet people randomly, and then nothing ever
Right.
happened. Like, it just
Right.
fizzled.
Or you do a hang.
Yeah.
And you don't know what kind of hang it is. Is it a friendly hang? Is it a
Right.
we're exploring something romantic hang? And then things get really confusing. So I do appreciate when people intentionally label something as a date.
Yeah.
That is nice, because at least you know what you're getting yourself into.
So I guess from this, like, do you think it's possible then? Like, is dating the only way to find your person, or are there other ways?
I think there are just so many other ways if we can be in the right mindset for those other ways. I only say this because I've met quite a few of my boyfriends in a non-traditional dating sense, I guess. I mean, like my current man friend, we did not date. I can't say we went on any official dates before we defined the relationship, but we had established rapport. We hung out and we just one day said, let's do this thing. So I think there are definitely these ways if you can both be in the mindset of wanting to get to know each other and with the sliver of possibility that this could be something more, but you're also okay if it's not.
I agree. Like, I like that dating provides a framework. I do like knowing
True.
I'm out on a date and it's intentional. And I think
True.
for me, I struggle when I was like, what is this? Is this more?
Mhm.
Is this less? But I do think there's a lot of pressure that comes with dating. It's not the most natural, as we talked about. So I want to say that I do think that it's possible to meet your person in a non dating way. But I do think that intention needs to be there. If it's not, then I
Yes.
think then you're just kind of circling around and you could have a lot of miscommunication.
Right. If your intention is to get to know this person, just purely get to know them, you're fine. But if your intention is to see if they also like you back by hanging out or hanging around,
Yeah.
that's probably when it gets a little confusing. And I've definitely been in those situations too, where you're like, oh, we're cool. We're just hanging, getting to know each other, but secretly hoping that this person's like
Right.
in love with you.
Yeah, I feel like I can remember a few of yours, like when you
Oh,
first moved to
really?
SF. Yes. And I want to hear, obviously some of it's just time and maturity, but I want to hear like how that was different than your last time around, where, it wasn't the quote unquote dating experience, but it still led
Mhm.
to a relationship fairly quickly. I want to get into it all, but before we do, quick announcements. Even though this is our season finale, we are not going anywhere. So
Mm-mm.
if you aren't subscribed already, make sure to hit the subscribe now. Make sure to hit the subscribe button now so you get all of our special off-season episodes where we mix it up a bit. And while you're there, make sure to leave us a rating and review and help us get to that 1K on Apple. We've had this goal for a bit, so we're really trying to get there. At 500 on Spotify, we are so close. So 5 stars, please.
Yes.
And then tell us what you learned from this season 18 and drop us a brunch talk question for season 19 because we're starting to prioritize those now.
Woohoo. And as a reminder that our Meeting People IRL masterclass or our Meeting People IRL jumpstart course, however you want to call it, is open through the summer. Just go to dateablepodcast.com/programs to sign up if you want to get in on it and check out all the other offerings that we have. And of course, find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok under the handle @dateablepodcast.
Perfect. Okay. Before we get into it, let's hear a quick message from our sponsors.
Summer is basically here, and your wardrobe needs an upgrade, right? Instead of a flimsy fast fashion haul, which I used to be guilty of, now spend your money wisely on high quality essentials that will last beyond the season. Quince is my spot for quiet luxury without paying luxury prices. They offer a range of must have items like 100% European linen under $50, 14 karat gold jewelry from $30, and my most favorite recent purchase was a pair of comfy, high quality biker shorts that cost about half of what I would normally pay. I know you're wondering how they do it. Quince partners directly with top factories to cut out the cost of the middleman and pass the savings on to you. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium eco-friendly fabrics and finishes. So I can feel good about getting high-quality items that last longer. Upgrade your closet this summer with Quince. Right now, go to quince.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's QUINCE.com/DATEABLE for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
Spring, a time for new beginnings. But you know what adds an extra spring to my step? Our partners at Via Hemp. Whether you want to get better sleep, ease anxiety, enhance your mood, or just get high, they have something for you, including their best-selling High Love Gummy, which will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. A couple of weeks ago, I shared some of my gummies with my cleaner, Lou, who we've also had as a guest on this podcast. Shout out to Lou. The first thing he said said to me when he came over today was if he could have more because they were that damn good. Personally, I've been liking their zero THC products. So whether you're a 2 milligram or a 50 milligram user, Via has something for you. So head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their award-winning gummies. 21 plus. That's VIIA hemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with high love from Via Hemp. So thinking back to that instance where you had that guy that you were like practically living together for like a week and it was like really intense.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. How'd you meet him? As like through friend of friend, right?
Uh-huh.
And it blew up. This is the guy you wrote the poem for.
Wow, of all of them, you had to bring up that one.
It's the one that kind of stayed in my mind all these years later.
That's the one I just shoveled away. So thank you for taking it back up.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay. I think that one could have gone either way. And obviously it went the wrong way, but it could have gone the right way because, again, we had been in the same friend circle for a long time, for probably like 2 years by then. And just one day, I remember it was a 4th of July party. He was there. I showed up just like any other time. But somehow the stars aligned for us at this 4th of July party. And we made eye contact. And he messaged me later, was like, how come you and I have never tried a date?
Okay.
So it kind of planted the seed. And so from that day on, he basically moved in. We basically jumped into a relationship. And we even said from the beginning, this is either going to go really terribly where we're never going to talk to each other again, or we're going to end up marrying each other, like one or the other, because it just felt so strong. And I should have listened to my intuition a little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to get yourself into situations like that. Like, who the fuck cares? Let's just see what happens. But a week later, after a week of playing house and living with me, he like basically ghosted me when he went to a company function. And I was doing Molly by myself because I thought he was going to come back and do Molly with me. That's probably a low moment for me to do Molly by yourself, like waiting for someone to show up. So that one definitely kind of blew up. But again, it's like, I don't know if I would have known that if I didn't even just go into it.
But why do you think that blew up?
There was never an interest for a friendship, ever. And I think that's always been the problem I've run into with these relationships that go out so fast. I never saw him as a friend. We were in the friend circle, but I never said, well, I kind of want to get to know him to see if we could hang out like as friends. I never had that interest. I don't think he ever had that interest with me. So all we had to go on was just mutual attraction. And once that mutual attraction, that initial stage passes, or even if you just realize it's only attraction, you probably don't want to explore spending more time with this person. There's no friendship.
So hypothetically, in this scenario, if you had done the dating thing, do you think it would have unraveled more? Or do you think it would have just, the inevitable would have happened? Maybe just it would have taken longer.
I think it would have just taken longer.
Yeah.
We probably still would have tried something, but yeah, it would have ended the same way because we were just not compatible as friends either. We're just not. We're just not. I mean, you knew him, right, Julie?
I don't think I knew him.
Oh, you never knew him?
I don't think I knew him.
But you knew the circle he ran in.
Yes,
So,
yes.
definitely
That
not the same vibe.
No.
Not the same vibe.
Okay, so current day man friend. This wasn't the traditional dating either because you guys knew each other before. Like, why do you think this worked, or how did it feel different than if you were quote unquote to like meet on the apps or even meet in the wild but go on more of like formal dates?
We never had the fire attraction like I did with this guy. And I used to think like that was so necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessary now. I think the moment I saw him as an amazing friend was that time we went out to dinner and he was talking about his kids. I saw him in a different light. And I thought to myself, I can see myself deepening my friendship with this guy. He seems like a really good person. I think it worked because we had that foundation of a friendship. And also, Julie, I think what comes with a friendship is respect.
Yeah.
And admiration for someone. I don't think I had that with the other guy. I knew nothing about him.
Yeah.
I didn't care to know anything about him. So I didn't have that baseline respect, even. And that's so key in a relationship, right?
Right. I mean, I think with both of these, though, it's building because of friendship and social circles. Like
Hmm.
it started off in that way and became more, developed into more. But instead of going through like
Yeah.
I'm going to go on all these dates and learn about the person, you kind of learned about them under this like friend context a little more.
Don't you think, like, okay, if you meet someone on a dating app, I'll bring this back to you now, Julie, with your current partner. I think this is how the timeline goes. You meet someone on a dating app, you're attracted to them romantically, you want to explore dating them, and then you go back and establish a friendship.
Yeah.
It's not like you do
It's the
friendship first and then,
opposite.
yeah, it's the opposite, but still, like, you still have to go back and search for that friendship and see if you can build it. My way with the current man is we just did friendship first and then relationship. But either way, you got to explore both for it to work.
I mean, I agree in some ways and maybe not in others because I think when I met him, my current partner, part of it was that I was looking for something different also. So similar to you, I
Hmm.
wasn't really like looking for the spark necessarily, the fireworks that I once was and maybe romantic 100% first. Part of what drew me to him was that I just really got along well with him. We didn't stop
Yeah.
talking. So yeah, I wouldn't say we had a deep friendship on date one, but I could see this as someone that I could develop that friendship with.
Hmm.
So I think it was a little of both in a way. It's like, of course, we were under a romantic context, but I think that helped the two of us because we're both the types of people that don't do as well with ambiguous situations. Like I feel like he like maybe would never have made a move or I wouldn't have if we were just like in this let's just meet as friends situation.
Yes. So you were already seeing him from a friendship angle, like,
Yeah.
could I see myself hanging out with this person? Could I see myself really respecting this person, admiring this person, being around this person? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, a little more than even attraction, given this is where, not that I wasn't attracted to my partner, I'm not saying that, but like where I was in my journey with this, all I was looking for on date one is, did I enjoy hanging out with this person?
Yes.
Would I want to see
Yes.
them again? Knowing just the limitations of first dates and what happens.
Yep.
And that was what I was judging it through. And because we started hanging out more and more, that's when the attraction built
Hmm.
as well.
I actually think that's probably the best way to start a relationship. Because, we've had friends who go on dates and they're like, oh, most amazing date. What did you like about this person? Oh, major chemistry. He was so hot. And then you're like, but did you enjoy your time? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, actually, I don't know. I don't know what a Sunday would feel like with this person, but the chemistry was so hot,
It's interesting because, like, I'm thinking back to other people I've met that haven't been in a dating app context or even a dating context. Like,
Hmm.
it was more like friends of friends or friends in general. And I feel like they never were defined or as defined in
Hmm.
that world because it was so ambiguous. But then obviously, other people, I have friends that never have really gone on dating apps or gone through the dating motions, or if they have,
Yeah.
those never went anywhere. And like my old roommate, literally every ex boyfriend or current boyfriend too, it's either a friend or a friend of friend.
Mm.
That was everyone.
Hmm. So you kind of just evolve into a relationship with the people who are in your circle.
Do you think it's just certain personalities like thrive better in this more construct type of environment versus more of we'll just see where things go type of vibe?
I think there's definitely personality differences for sure. I know I thrive better from rapport building.
Yeah.
I need a lot of time with rapport building. And then some people also just thrive better in a comfortable space. So
Yeah.
maybe in their own friend circle. And
Yeah.
then others really thrive from meeting new people.
Yeah.
They've already crossed everyone off their list in their friend circle. Like, nope, none of these, but I need some new energy. So I think people just need to know themselves well to know how they can build that foundational relationship with someone.
What's interesting about you, I'm going to psychoanalyze you for a second.
Oh, okay.
I remember you used to get very caught into like date one, date two, like the
Mhm.
progression.
Mhm.
But then I feel like a lot of your relationships have been with people in your life. Maybe not like a close
Mhm.
friend, but like your current partner, you knew him through like a work
Mhm.
setting and you like had them more of the ease in. And then your ex before him, like you knew him through friends of friends.
Yep.
I'm wondering if like some of that guard is down because of that.
It's probably both, Julie. It's the date counting, which gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
And also, it's my performative nature on dates. I probably am not showing my authentic self
Right.
when someone's like, I'm taking you on a date. I'm like, oh, I got to be date you now. But if
Yeah.
someone's just in my circle, I mean, even my boyfriend in Beijing, who I was with for 9 months and we lived together, we knew each other for almost a year
Yeah.
before that. And he saw the best and the worst of me because we almost hung out like every weekend with a bigger group. So I think by the time we got together, I was like, I don't need to be anybody else but myself.
It's a really good point because I think like some of it, even looking at my history, is like before my current partner, I had one other boyfriend that I met
Mm-hmm.
on dating apps, which
Mm-hmm.
was the British guy.
Yep.
And before that, I was like convinced dating apps did not work because I
Mm-hmm.
would just go on dates and they would never go anywhere. And most of the people I had like actual like connections with were people I'd met through friends of friends just in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for
Yeah.
me, part of it was the same as what you were saying, this performative date version of myself. Like I had to be this person. It's almost like I had to actively train myself to get out of that in
Mm-hmm.
order to use apps effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's maybe again less about the actual mechanism that you're using and more about just how you're showing up.
That's true. Yeah. Knowing what brings out anxiety in you.
Yeah.
I know that going on an official date does bring out anxiety in me because the clock is already ticking by then, you know?
Yeah, or you have to recognize, like I remember with my current partner where I was in my life. Like I remember one of my
Mm-hmm.
best friends just being like the next day, like, "Oh, do you think you'll see him again?" I was kind of like, "If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't." Like I hope
Yeah.
to, but if I don't, like
Mm-hmm.
life will go on and I'll find someone that's right for me. But it took
Yep.
like getting to that place and recognizing that like you only know so much about someone from an hour of being with them over
Right.
drinks, right? It's
Right.
like almost like you have to like consciously be like, this is all that's happening. This is the only information you know. Like you only know
Yes.
a little about them. Stop like letting your mind run wild of what it could be and
Right.
getting ahead of yourself.
Right. But this is why it goes back to our initial conversation of regardless of what route you take, it's all about your intentionality with what you're doing, right? I do think
Yeah.
exploring your friend circle, I think, with my current relationship and with my last relationship too, I wasn't exactly intentional about dating. I wasn't like, oh, I'm ready to get back into dating, but I'm open to explore what connections are out there. There was no preconceived notions of what was out there and what I was getting myself out there. So it's kind of like going with the flow a little bit. And that probably,
Yeah.
if you're in a state of like, I gotta be very intentional about dating, this is my year of finding someone, maybe that route is probably not the best route because it's like very much see what happens. But if you are in the more like, I'm very intentional, these are what I want to accomplish with dating this year, then being on a dating app is the best way because that is like the most intentional you can be about dating.
But I do think you can overdo it. Like, okay, so I was with two friends this weekend. We were hiking and it
Yes.
was six of us. It's just like it like flashback to when we were all super single and
Yeah.
being like, are we ever gonna meet people? And I'm like, now we're all like with people that are probably gonna be like it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's really kind of wonderful to see that. And the other two people, I met my partner on a dating app. The other two of my friends, they were both people that didn't do well on dating apps. Like they
Mm-hmm.
found it really hard. And like, it's not that they couldn't get dates. Like that wasn't the issue. It was more just, it felt very unnatural to them. And it felt like they were going through the motions and it just felt draining.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends, I've talked about her on the podcast, like she literally met her now husband in Brazil. She was just out and about. She was there for a wedding, but it was an unaffiliated event to the wedding, like locked eyes. And she got COVID and stayed in Brazil longer. And they
Yep.
started a relationship. And then that led to them doing, I guess, a long distance thing and then deciding to move to Mexico together because he couldn't get a visa to the US then. And then eventually 2 years later, getting a fiance visa and moving to the US.
Yeah. And
So
getting
I'd say
married.
that's an extreme situation of how you did not date at all, basically. Like they met. I mean, it's not that they didn't get to know each other. They did, but it basically was like, we're either doing this or we're not. And when she went to Mexico, it was like, I'm going here with the intention of being with this person, but if it doesn't work out, I'm going to go home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like a major fast forward, I guess, into dating,
Yes.
right?
And it's such an incredible story knowing her background of like struggling with dating and then going on this trip and then basically like love at first sight. I would also argue your walls are down when you're traveling. You are more open to all types of people. You're more open to connecting. You're also more open to going out on your own. That's what she was doing. She went out on her
Yeah.
own and met him.
Right?
It's a mindset shift. It's not like everybody's going to go to Brazil and find the love of their life. It's just like when your walls are down and you're like, let's see what happens. And I'm open to meeting people and I'm going to be in the best mood possible. That's probably when things do happen.
And I will be the first to admit, like, when she first told us all, we're just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
you know, is
Oh, yeah.
this really going to work? Like, you live here, he lives there. Like, this seems very, you know, you met for a week. Like, it just seems like so out there, you know, because it's so against the norm of dating. But I do think it also takes two people that are very highly committed to making it work. I think for their example of it working, there's probably 10 that doesn't work. So I don't want to say again,
Absolutely.
everyone just goes on vacation and meets someone. Like, you both need to be like, yeah, we're going to make this work.
For sure. But that's with every relationship,
Yeah,
right? It's the
same thing. If you meet on a dating app, you get strung along for a long time. Or if you meet someone that's like, yeah, I want to make it work, we're going to make it work. So it's more of that.
Yes, absolutely. But how do you think, and you were starting to say, like, you think people can overdo it? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think like in her case, she kind of needed that like fresh start, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like this cycle. I just remember her like just going on a date, not being super excited about it, just meeting the person, coming back and being like, meh. Like, that was,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a cycle of just going in kind of like not super excited,
Yeah.
coming out not super excited, just like very flat, I guess. And then this felt like excitement. Like, it felt like the energy was back kind of thing.
I do think like the whole being really intentional about dating can burn you out really fast.
Yeah.
Because you end up having these expectations of dating that are not based in reality. And I think like what has worked for me is going into any scenario with the expectation of being surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know what that could be. Maybe being surprised by a connection, being surprised by someone who you've known for a while to come forward, to just having the expectation of like no expectations, but you will be surprised either way. Maybe that is the best thing to do because otherwise, if you are so intentional about dating, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if intentional is the right word because I think she still was very intentional. Like, I want to meet someone. Like, that's what I want ultimately. It's more of maybe like feeling like you have to do it the way, like it's like the structure of it, like feeling like confined to like how dating should be. Maybe that's part of it.
Is it being so tied to the outcome? I'm in here because I got to meet my person. I find that to be so much pressure on someone.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yes.
My other friend that we went with, this is an interesting
Such a good story.
So they met 9 years ago in an Uber pool. And then like
that.
he got into a relationship, got married, like, you know, had a whole life. And then
sliding doors.
Years later, just like reached out to her and reconnected. I was just like, that is a serendipitous moment. I think they did like go on dates, but I think it progressed pretty quickly into like a real relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is something still about these moments, though, that even if you're, I guess, going on a couple dates, they do seem to feel like you're less like playing the field of like, how many matches can I get? How many dates can I go on?
Yeah.
It feels like so serendipitous that you're like, I want to give it a chance kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's too good to pass up.
Yeah, like you're going to put your emphasis on the person. Of course, if it ends up not being the right person for you, that's a different thing. But like, I even remember like when I met my ex, like I met him through his brother who I was friends with. And it was at this event that I was like co-hosting with his brother. And I didn't go with the intention of meeting anyone. I was like, I know all his friends. They're not people I would ever date. But I wasn't expecting to meet anyone. And like, for whatever reason in my head, I thought his brother was like 10 years younger than me. I thought he was like 20. And I just had no like thought about this. I guess what I'm trying to say is that once we started dating, like we did go on an official first date, but it kind of just like I wasn't dating other people, he wasn't dating other
Right?
people. It just kind of it evolved faster, I guess, in that regard.
Yes. And what is it about those fast track dating scenarios that work? Because I felt the same way about my current relationship. As soon as we were like, yeah, let's do this, I wasn't itching to see who else I can get
Right.
in my roster. I was like, oh, this is it. I want to focus on this person. But the times I have been in dating, especially on the apps, I match with one, I go on that date. I always had to make sure I had other dates or other matches.
You know what, though? I didn't for my partner, and he quickly
Mm,
stopped talking to other people too, and that was an app meet.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
again, maybe it's just the mindset you're in. I
Maybe.
think though there is something about like, oh, we got to give this a chance when there is that moment. Like you see this too all the time, like when
Yeah.
friends finally get together, like people that have been friends all this time and something romantic happens. It feels like they don't really go through like the dating process as much. It's like we're gonna try a relationship. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's kind of like dive all in.
Right.
Same with coworkers, right?
Right.
I feel like you don't really like date as much. It's just like all or nothing more.
Thinking back to my New York relationship, the longest relationship, that was a 5 year. So we met on Match.
Yeah.
We went on, I think, 3 dates, and I was like, this is not going anywhere. So I told him, and we stopped going on dates and just started hanging out. And that's when I fell for him. So it was when the dating stopped. Was
Yeah.
when things developed, and that ended up being a 5 year relationship. I think there was just something so contrived about the dates. I just couldn't build that chemistry with
That's
him.
so interesting.
Isn't that weird?
I don't know. I think maybe that's what it comes down to is like if you're able to date and like go through the process of dating and remove that contrived feeling. Because I'm actually thinking about
Yes.
both of my relationships that started on apps.
Mhm.
Like the British guy, the first conversation we had was like pranks we pulled on our friends. It was not like your standard
Yeah.
date talk at all. It felt like I was catching up with a friend. And then my current partner, too, like I feel like we met in COVID. I feel like both of us were just like trying to meet new people in like very laid back, low stakes way.
Low stakes, but high intention.
Yeah, I think
There's a
that's
balance. There's a balance
that's
there.
what it is. It's like you know what you're looking for, but you're not so contrived about it.
Yeah. It has to go this way. You don't have to be that.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm taking away from at least this part of the conversation, yes, it's absolutely possible to meet people in non-date ways.
Mhm.
There needs to be intention behind it still.
Mhm.
And even if you are going to meet someone in a date way, it's like, how do you just let your authentic self show more? Which is usually probably what happens in the non-date way organically.
It just goes back to our Meeting People IRL course, where we really just talk about the fact that you just have to put yourself in environments where you thrive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's when you're authentic. That's when you're not contrived. You are putting your best self forward, not because you're trying to, it's just because you naturally are in that environment. So why would someone not be attracted to that?
I'm curious your take on like more far extreme of like arranged marriage and family intros.
Oh, okay.
But before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. I think maybe like the furthest extreme here, because I think even in the examples we've talked about, it's like friendship, social circles, work, professional ties, all that, or if you meet someone through like shared interests, hobbies, I still feel like you have kind of that deciding point, even if you're not like officially in a courtship phase or whatever, like I think you still are like, do I want to be with this person? But what about like family intros or arranged marriage? What's your take on that?
Well, I think those two are very different. A family intro is like a suggestion.
That's
An
true.
arranged
That's
marriage
true.
is you're fucking doing this.
Thank you for that distinction.
No choice otherwise. I think family intros, depending on your family, trust me, my mom has tried numerous times to introduce me to people, and she does not know what I'm looking for, but good for her. I'm glad that she cares so much. But I do find arranged marriages interesting because there is a high success rate with arranged marriages because you go in knowing that you're going to learn to love this person. This is it.
Yeah.
There is no other option. So why not make the best out of this situation?
It is funny because we have heard so many people just be like, "Can I just get an arranged marriage so I don't have to do this whole dating thing?"
Yes, exactly. But, we live in a culture where we have an abundance of choice. So for us to go into an arranged marriage, we would just be resentful from day one.
Oh,
Even if
yeah.
that person's amazing, it's just because
We didn't pick
we
it.
didn't pick this person. So it wouldn't work as well. But my closest to an arranged marriage, which is not even close at all, the New York Post used to do this every month where they would match up two singles
Mm.
in New York to go on a blind date. So I got matched up with this guy, Thatcher, I think was his name. And we went on this date and they followed us around and took pictures and did a post-date interview. But he and I really tried to make it work.
Okay.
He and I were like, hey, there must be a reason why we got matched up. So let's try and see what happens. So I would have never picked him out of a lineup.
Okay.
Very different from my circle, but we gave it a go and it quickly fizzled because we knew that we were not compatible. But at least we gave it a try and I thought it was a very interesting experiment because for that month that we tried, I was solely focused on making this thing work. I was very dedicated.
Interesting. So it's more, again, it's not like the are we dating or not dating, but it's the mindset of like, this is the one option.
Yes. And you want to make it work. It becomes your project almost, right? You get into that mindset of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best to make this work.
This is such an interesting one because I feel like this mindset is good in some ways, right? Because it's the committed mindset that is so lacking in today's world of modern dating. But it also could be detrimental because you're like, I'm just going to make it work against any other reason, right?
Right.
And that might not be what's best for you.
Right.
Like one of the beauties of modern dating is we do have so much choice that we can find the right relationship for us and not just be like, I'm going to take whatever comes along. There is a beauty to that.
But there is something to be said about two people committing to making it work.
Yes.
Even if, against all odds, at least two people are on the same team, that in theory should work.
It is half the battle. I will agree on that. I mean, obviously, there has to be the foundations of just enjoying the company of the other person and, being a healthy relationship in so many ways. So I wouldn't say it's only commitment. Like someone could be like a raging narcissist or abusive to you, but they're committed, right? And that wouldn't be good.
True. Or is it like commitment with change? If the two of you don't really have any interests or you don't really enjoy your time together, what if you commit to making the time more enjoyable with each other?
Yeah.
In theory, that should work because you're committing to change so that the two of you can be compatible.
I mean, I think if the baseline is there of like, this is someone I'm attracted to, I enjoy being around, that makes me feel good, that brings out good sides and all that, that's healthy, communicator, all that stuff. Like if the baseline is there, then yeah, commitment is what you need. And that is the exact problem that we're facing, especially in this like more dating world where you're constantly lining your options up and doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you are going to do more traditional dating, like you have to fight the urges that come with how dating works.
I'm going to ask you a very honest question. And everybody thinks about this, so don't worry. Like, this is not just pointed at Julie, but
what are you asking me?
If you and your partner were not to work out,
yeah,
how would you approach dating
okay.
this next time around?
Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad I set that up.
I mean, honestly, I would use apps again. I have no qualms about apps. Like, I think it was efficient for me. I liked knowing that this person is here for the same reason as me.
Mm-hmm.
There was something very nice about that. So I would 100% do that again. I also found a way that I was able to use apps that did not control my life. Yep. And like I said, I was able to say like, okay, what is me giving into the way dating's supposed to work versus like, this is just another vehicle to meet someone. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I would have an issue with that. I also don't think it's an either or. Like, I think there's being open to serendipity and those moments and just meeting people and reconnecting with old people and seeing what happens. Like, I don't think it needs to be, I'm going to do it this way or that way. It would be more like I'm just looking for that life partner and I need to be like intentional in the sense of when I see the right person, I double down on it.
I guess my question is more like, is there anything you would do differently?
I would be more like open to finding the possibility in any environment.
Mm.
Like if I'm in a non-dating environment, be like, oh, is there someone here I could date? I think I was very like contextual. I'm like, I'm in a work environment, it's work. I'm in a dating environment, it's dating. So
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe expand that out a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I was like never like, I remember like thinking like a coworker was attractive, for instance, but it would be hard for me to cross that line because it was in coworker territory.
Right.
Or friend territory. I did have friends that became more, but it was never me initiating them. It was only them doing it. So maybe it would be me taking more chances to go outside the blurred lines.
Uh-huh.
What about you? What would you do differently?
Join a pickleball league. This is like where everyone's meeting
But
people
isn't
right
that
now.
how you like kind of met people outside of your partner was tennis? You
Kind
did
of,
that?
yes. Yes. I mean, like tennis is very much female. At my level, it's like a lot of women, but pickleball seems to be very much a co-ed social sport.
Oh,
I
totally.
think that's what I would do.
I would not do that. I don't disagree. So I don't disagree with you. I agree it's a great place to meet someone. For me, that sounds like a terrible
Right.
place. Like it just would not fill my cup in any way. So it
No.
ultimately comes back to what's good
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Don't do anything that
No.
you would hate doing. That you're going to meet someone you're going to hate.
I mean, that's like the whole core too of what we did in our master class. This was like, how do you find what works for you and what's like a good environment for you? Because like you were saying earlier, you're not going to thrive if you're on a pickleball court and you hate pickleball and you're just going because you think you can meet people.
Right. Yeah.
But if you genuinely are like, this is fun, it's a great opportunity.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I guess net from this whole discussion, what are your takeaways? I think for me, it's like, yes, there's no need to limit it to just dating. Like expand where you can meet someone.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like it can't just be like, we'll just see where it goes and like so flexible unless that's what you want at the moment. Like if you want a long-term relationship or you want that life partner, like still stay like true to what you actually need and want from someone, no matter how you meet them. And then what I'm taking away too is so much of this is the mindset. So if you can figure out what's getting in your way, like if you feel like traditional dating is making you show up a way that's not really you, or it's feeling like too forced, how can you maybe let down some of those walls, even if you are to keep using apps or do more of a traditional method in addition to finding these other ways?
Yeah, find what energizes you, what fills your cup, what makes you feel like you can thrive and do more of that.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. Some people really thrive on apps. Some people really thrive on meeting strangers. Some people really thrive on going to events. You got to do what's best for you because you know yourself the best. And like you said, Julie, do everything with the same intention. And maybe sometimes the intention is, I want to meet new people, or the intention is, I am looking for a connection. It doesn't have to be as serious as I'm looking for a relationship, or I'm looking for my person. There's many other ways to connect, and you can be intentional about that. And maybe your intention is, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm intentional about exploring right now. I'm just in a discovery phase.
Yeah.
I think so many of us don't go through enough of the discovery phase. And that's like the best time. Do pickleball, do painting, do all the weird shit, and then figure out if that fills your cup or not, and see what kind of people you meet. Sometimes you don't know till you just do it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that discovery phase on the episode we did with Amy Schoenthal about setbacks. You don't have to be going through a setback in order to be going through a discovery phase. Like sometimes you see a shake it up just because you do shake it up.
Yes. Shake it up.
I also think intentions, like you could have the larger, higher level intention of, I want to meet someone. I want to find my person. And then the lower level intention that's realistic about the scenario. It kind of reminds me of the episode we did with Talia, right? On dating intentionally a few episodes ago, of the only intention of a first date is to meet someone new or have a good drink or enjoy a new place. Like that's okay. It's not like conflicting of the larger intention of maybe, meeting that person.
Yes. And your shorter term intentions can be almost challenges for yourself. It could be like, talk to 5 new people. Like that's my only intention at this event.
Right.
Or I'm going to step out of my house today. Like that could be an intention in itself. So yeah, like your bigger intention is is still there. We're not saying
Yeah.
suppress it or to give up on it, but also know that there are steps that need to be taken to get to the larger intention.
I also feel like if I was on the first date with my partner, I was in this mindset of I'm just here to meet someone new because I had just listened to an episode we did with Jeff Harry about making dating fun again. I always give this credit, but that was the mindset I was in. And on other dates, I was in this mindset of like, is this the person?
Yes.
And I think that actually served me really well to be in this lower stake mindset. And I don't know if maybe I wouldn't have seen my partner again had I been in this like high stakes one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's like such a more realistic way to approach dating.
I think whatever you do, whatever way you go about dating, like make it work for you and don't feel like you have to follow a script. That's the ultimate takeaway of this whole thing. Whether you choose more traditional dating or going against the grain a little and seeing what develops into more, just do it your way.
Yeah, I know some of you are going to listen to this episode and be like, oh my gosh, someone met someone in Uber pool, someone met someone in Brazil. Yes, there are many stories of how people meet, but the only thing you have control over is to just allow the universe to surprise you.
Yeah.
You do not have control over circumstances of how you meet someone. So instead of being like, well, I heard this story and so met their husband, and so met their future person here, like get rid of those stories. And just the only thing you need to know is there are just so many possibilities everywhere you go. You may meet someone, you may not meet someone, but either way, just allow the universe to surprise you and you will not be disappointed.
I agree. And it's like, I don't feel bad because my story wasn't as maybe interesting as theirs. Like I met my partner on an app. It doesn't matter ultimately. It's the relationship at the end of the day. But what I do love about their stories, it would inspire me to your question of like, if you did things differently, it would inspire me to be more open to all opportunities.
Yeah.
And not so like, it's not in a dating context. It's not on Saturday night, like in the bar, like it can be anywhere.
You never know.
I feel like season 18 was all about just like, how do we help people, get out there in a way that works for them ultimately.
DIY your love life in a way that serves you. And we hope that this episode brings you hope. But ultimately, I think it's like we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out what works for us. Be inspired by other people's stories, but don't feel the need to emulate their stories.
Yeah.
Your story is also inspiring other people too. You're a walking inspiration, right?
Before we go, do you think there's any future predictions you have of what's going to happen to dating?
I have a really crazy one.
Okay, bring it on.
I don't know how long this is going to take, but I feel like we're trending that way, is that there's going to be a clear separation between sexual relationship and a friendship relationship. And currently we're seeing that in Japan. There's a thing called a friendship marriage that a lot of people are doing, which is a sexless marriage with the opposite sex. You do everything a married couple does except for the sex part, and then you do your sex thing with other people. Like you go get your sex met elsewhere.
Interesting.
But you establish a friendship marriage here. And I hear this from my friends who have younger children who are also saying, like, their classmates, they don't see sex as part of relationships. They think sex is like an accessory. You like go out and get your sex if you need it. But the basis of a relationship is the relationship, the friendship itself.
Very
That's my
interesting.
guess.
I was going to say mine maybe isn't that far off. I think what's going to happen though is there's going to be the end of a first date. I think that's going to stop being a thing as much because right now, first dates, people are already saying like it's not even the real date, especially if like app dating is central. It's almost like this first time meet. Like if you were out and about, like you meet for the first time, you see if there's any connection at all. I think people are going to start, we've called it meet and greets before. Maybe there'll be another name or something that just lowers the stakes and allows you to just meet a little more organically. And then you go on that first date if we're going to go in a more dating model.
Love it. Well, it's been a lovely season journey with you all, celebrating 18 seasons as we graduate into season 19. We have so much in store for you all already, but Remember, we've got 500 plus episodes in
Yeah,
our
we do.
library.
Yeah, we
There's a
do.
lot to listen to, and pretty much none of you have listened to every episode. They all offer a nugget of something, so go back and listen.
And it's really easy, especially on Spotify, to just search for what you're looking for. Like if you want, I don't know, I'm just throwing something out. Like if
Diaper
you're
fetish.
like, that's not what I was thinking, but yes. Okay, if you wanted diaper fetish, do diaper fetish dateable. You'll get it.
Yes. Yes.
Healthy relationship dateable. You'll get it. First
We're
date
gonna see-
dateable. You'll get it. Anything.
We're going to see a spike in our diaper fetish episodes.
And if you've been with us long enough, you know that we don't really go away, even on the off season. So make sure to tune in. We'll have just different content for you. We like to shake it up. Sometimes we'll interview each other or share some more personal tidbits too in this off season. So yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already.
I'm laughing because we just never go away.
We never go away.
We never go away. You can't get rid of us.
I mean, you can stop listening, but we hope
don't do
that.
Don't do that. No. Please keep us around, please. There are so many ways to connect with us. You can follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast is the handle. You can email us hello@dateablepodcast.com. We actually feel like people don't do emails anymore. So if you send us an email, we'll definitely get it. We love emails.
We definitely get some emails, but yes, I agree. DMs
definitely more
seem
DMs.
to be coming through stronger.
I know.
And you can also leave a review. We are really trying to get to that 1K in Apple and also Spotify. Help us get there. We're not as close there, but help us get there. That would mean the world to us. It also brings you better guests for the next season and just helps so much. You can ask your Brunch Talk question there. You can always email us too, and we'll be back with Brunch Talks as well.
Yes. And then if you really want to see what's up, you can go to YouTube. That's where we experiment with shit. So there's a lot of experimenting. You'll get a hoot. You'll get a kick out of it. YouTube channel where we say fire all the time.
Oh my God. Cool. No, we don't.
Fire.
People are like, yeah, no, I'm not going there.
And on to season 19. Here we come.
Okay.
Wrapping this up. Stay dateable. The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.
Before you leave this episode, just a reminder to head over to dateablepodcast.com/programs if you want to get in on our Meeting People IRL Masterclass and see what else we have in store.